Welcome to the LivXplore Podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe. Welcome, everyone. I'm Sean Payne, owner and founder of LivXplore Real Estate and Lifestyle. I have with me our co-host, as always, Isaiah Chess. Isaiah, thanks for joining us. I got to find out a new intro. Well, we'll get there. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us today. We thought we would talk about the Planning Commission meeting that happened August 8th, a follow-up to the previous meeting that happened July 12th, and kind of just go over what was discussed that way. So kind of jumping right into it, on the 8th, the Planning Commission was coming back with, they took a lot of what they heard from the previous meeting and came back with some revisions that way. And what they came back with was the three different proposed areas that the overlay would be involved with that way. And I think the presentation overall, again, was a good presentation. I thought, I don't know about the Google Street View. I really didn't like that I thought that was a little confusing going around. But overall, I thought the information was, again, very informative. You do get a lot of information thrown at you, so it's understandable that you can get a little bit confused that way.
I would say that anyone that's planning on going to those meetings, it's probably beneficial to review the slides beforehand, just so you have some understanding of. Otherwise, it's a lot to understand all at once while they're all reading through it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think it's to the benefit of the meeting and everyone that everyone comes in with some understanding.
If you're planning on going to the meeting.
Yeah, if you're planning on going to the meeting and asking questions, it's good to review the information packet beforehand. You're right. Mm-hmm. You're totally right. Because going in there kind of blind and then trying to pick up is just impossible. And I know some people try to do that, and it's just probably overwhelming for them. So,
right. And for some context for those that don't understand what was happening, is there was an initial overlay that covered much of the downtown area, and there was a lot of dislike for that plan because it included a lot of sites that were on the historic registrar. The new plan, which you'll go into, it included just 3 smaller revised sites, which the Planning Commission viewed as, or the team that put together a proposal viewed as more of the underutilized sites rather than just a blanket overlay of the entire downtown.
Right. I can't remember. Were they really reduced from the July 12th meeting, or were they reduced previously to that? I thought that they were somewhat similar to the July 12th meeting. Was that not the case?
I believe the July 12th, I believe they came out right after, because when we went to the Know Before You Grow meeting, I think that was after the July 12th meeting. And that was the new plan, but it hadn't yet been brought to the Planning Commission.
Right.
There's so many iterations.
Yeah, exactly. I can't keep track. But let's just let's jump to this meeting. So you have these 3 overlays that have been reduced over time. One is really right around the corner. A couple of are right around the corner from us. But the what's made this sort of controversial is you have the proposed hotel site around the corner, and this overlay would affect those parcels. It would affect the hotel parcels, Rex Hardware, which is already there, which wouldn't be affected, and then the vacant lots behind it that way is what that overlay would be. And then there's 2 other overlays. We should have brought a map up, but their areas sort of over by Petaluma Market area is a couple areas that are seen as underutilized that way. So they were trying to put that overlay through that way. A lot of discussion about that. Again, I think that it's really tough when you go to these meetings that you're not going to get, I would say, a balanced picture of what these projects are a lot of times. And, we both spoke at the meeting and both brought up this point that, this is becoming somewhat of a generational argument that way, that we have a certain portion of the population that really doesn't want things to change. And I think that was really clear in what they said. Mm-hmm. Over and over again, it was, we don't want things to change, or things are changing too quickly.
I even heard some people saying that we like the blighted sites. We like the underutilization that we have here, which
Right.
was unfortunate to hear.
Yes, exactly. But that's a. I mean, I think it solidified exactly what's going on here. Is that you have one portion of the population that wants, smart change, and one portion that really doesn't want any change. And I break this down into I see this as like an argument of protecting the policies that created our issues to begin with. That's what we're talking about here. And you know what? I mean, I can understand that this is sort of an uncomfortable conversation, and people don't like to have that. But I think it's really important for the future vitality of Petaluma and its downtown to identify this. And a lot of the opposition are at an age bracket that they're not going to be enjoying the downtown for decades to come, and I really hope that we don't hamper or do something that doesn't allow economic prosperity in downtown, so that the younger generations like you and I can enjoy it that way. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and that was one of the biggest points that I brought up in the meeting, is that I'd say, I'm going to go out on a whim and say 99% of the opposition, maybe it's slightly less, at least over 90% of the opposition won't be in the downtown in the next 2 decades.
Right. They won't be using it.
Yeah, probably not even the next decade,
right,
for that matter.
Right.
So we should listen to the future generations that actually will be enjoying the downtown for 5 decades, 10 decades, because in that time, it's going to be bigger buildings that attract people, not a small little one-story building in a downtown area.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to this again. The reason why we are here is because there was a smaller project proposed. It was a national brand that was using one of their boutique branding. So I can't remember exactly who it was. It was the Hilton, and they were using their boutique brand, so it wouldn't be called the Hilton.
Right.
But the city at the time, the feedback from the city was that they didn't like that. They wanted a totally upscale boutique brand hotel at that point. So that's when the developer went back to the drawing board, redid it, and said, we can do that, but we have to make the project bigger to cover these costs. That being said, there was a lot of talk, about the blight of the city, and some people again liked it. There was, and this is a comment that we've heard kind of over and over again. Well, why don't we just turn this into a park? And so I'm for property rights. So if someone owns a property and they can do a project within the zoning, and it's a benefit to the city, I think they should be allowed to do it that way. Everyone coming in and being, no, we want to put a park there on your land. That really kind of rubs me the wrong way. But regardless of that, let's talk about finances. I mean, here in the city of Petaluma, we have other projects that have been approved, but that haven't been started or completed because the funding is not there. So if those projects can't be completed, we're going to put another project in place, another park in place that there's no funding mechanism to install it and then to maintain it over time.
Right.
And I don't think people realize that.
No, we can't even maintain the public works projects that we have currently on the table. So putting an additional burden on the city, I think, is irresponsible.
Right. No. And you know what? I encourage for everyone listening to this podcast, go out and Google everything that Isaiah and I say, because, we're probably going to be about 75% right. But so I believe the single biggest entity that brought in the most tax revenue in the city of Petaluma was the Petaluma Hotel. I mean, hotels bring in a lot of tax revenue. And so, I think here's the argument is how do we keep Petaluma? Let's talk about the fairgrounds. We've been working on a project down there. That's 55 acres. Talk about underutilized. 55 acres of prime land that could be developed for a variety of projects. Now, I don't think it should be. I think it should stay, a racetrack, and I think we should put other uses around that and try to find out how to utilize it. But I don't want to get rid of it because that is a big part of our culture. But how do we keep that?
You need tax revenue.
Yeah, we need tax revenue. It's projects like the hotel that will allow us to keep the racetrack in place. Feel free to do your own research, but from the estimates of what what the hotel will bring in, what the project will bring in, that little, was it 0.6 of an acre, 0.7 of an acre? I can't remember. That little lot, when the hotel goes in, will bring in 1.5 times the tax revenue of what we currently get from the fairgrounds on a yearly basis. That's crazy. That just shows you how underutilized that 55 acres is.
Right.
But if you want to keep it and keep it that way and keep, that is a part of Petaluma, then it's projects like these that need to get improved.
I think that's the argument that people need, or not the argument, the conversation that people need to have is that if they want Petaluma to remain the way it is now, and their whole argument is keeping Petaluma whole, you have to kind of pick and choose some things. So
right.
What's more important to you, having a historic thing like the fairgrounds that's been going on for generations? I mean, people have been going to the races
right.
for generations. If you want to take that away, well then, or I guess I should say, if you want to keep that, then you should look at what needs to be done to keep that in place.
Exactly. There's no way that we're going to be able to keep everything exactly how it is. I wouldn't want that. We have to change. We have to evolve. And so it just shows like, okay, well, you kind of pick and choose. How do you want to evolve that way? If you want to keep something like the racetrack, then we need to generate revenue to cover those expenses that way. I think it's also important to note that, like, full disclosure, we're a real estate company. We reach out to pretty much every developer, builder, any project that's coming down the road. We reach out to them, and we offer for them to come on the podcast and talk about it and let the public know from firsthand what they're doing. And that's what we did with EKN. That's our relationship with EKN. They were really gung ho to come on the podcast, which we were really cool. I think it was probably like our one of our first big guests that way, right?
Yeah, it was probably, 8 months ago now?
Yeah, right. And so we were starting this. We were really excited, and we heard about the project, and it seemed like a great project. Like, I just, again, like, I'm totally for it. I see it as a plus to downtown. Again, we're right downtown around the corner. We have issues of homelessness and things of that nature.
Graffiti.
So I just don't see how, like, more economic opportunity, having more people around is a bad thing that way. And I just hope that everyone would disclose what their relationship is. I mean, in terms of, like, the argument to the hotel. The biggest opposition to this hotel online and at these meetings is someone who has an interest in a hotel that's already here. Right. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people realize that a lot of the opposition, they're not coming out and saying, hey, I have an interest in a hotel here, and this is why I have these concerns. It's more of like, no, this doesn't fit, things of this nature. I just wish people would be more honest and be, just full disclosure that way, so everyone knows what's going on.
Right.
So
yeah, that's a big point that is being missed in arguments coming from the opposition.
Right. And yeah, and I just don't think that everyone understands, like, hey, this is someone that has a certain interest in it, and I don't understand why you wouldn't disclose that. And all the online topics you've brought on, why not lead with that?
It's going to come out, and it's going to be very unfortunate when all of those arguments look useless after it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but I just think that, like, yeah, just why not come out, initially? And obviously, there's you're going to have a certain viewpoint, being that you already own a hotel that way. So overall, but that, getting back to the meeting, I mean, the public comment was you and I were the only ones that were in favor of the overlay, and
present.
That were present, yeah, at that meeting. And then I don't know, the other 15 speakers that spoke were against it. But again, I think it's important to note that we made a commitment to go to this meeting. A lot of people, like, our generation, they're not in a place to make these commitments to these meetings where you can be in there until like midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. They have kids that they have to take care of. They have to get a babysitter if they're going to come to this meeting. They have to get up early the next day. They got to get their kids off, things of that nature. So when people look at these meetings and the recording, don't think that that's a true representation of the community at all. I just think it's really important to note that there is an older generation that they're retired. Their careers are, if they're not retired, it's their careers are closer to the end of their careers than the beginning. They're not trying to become established that way, and so they have I don't want to say less responsibilities, but it's easier for them to make those meetings that way, and I think that's really important to know. And that's just a reality. That's not being mean, or that's not being I don't know, not trying to cause problems, but that's just a reality.
Right.
So.
Right.
Anyway, I thought it was again, an informative meeting that way. I encourage you that if you heard about this project, to study it on your own. Don't look at the noise, generally the noise online, or if you do look at the noise online, get a little perspective about who's saying it that way. And, if you have any questions, we're happy to answer the questions of why we're in favor of it. And if you have additional questions, I'd suggest reaching out to ECAN, the developer, Appalachian, the managing partner, and we can help you with that. So
yeah, Appalachian has done a great job of being present for meetings and public awareness. So anyone that has questions with it, they'd be happy to answer if we can't.
And again, like here you have a group, you have Charlie Palmer, who has a very good track record up in Healdsburg and now Appalachian, the company he's created. I really see this as an opportunity, like here's someone who sees projects through that way. So it just seems like a good solution that we need here in the town anyway. So
certainly. Anything
else that you want to cover?
No, I want to talk about parking, but I think that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, that's a little convoluted. We can come. Yeah. That's a whole nother podcast in itself that way. Yeah. So cool. So. All right. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. If we can't answer them, we will get you in touch with the developer Appalachian. If you liked this episode, please hit like and subscribe. I'm Sean Payne, owner and founder of LivXplore, and Isaiah Chass, our founding agent. Thanks for joining us today.
See you guys next time.
Welcome to the LivXplore Podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.